President Joe, thank you so much for joining us. Tell us, what was the intent of the report card, and is it too early to start grading?
The overall intent of the report card was to let the general public and families know the progress that has been made with the Commission. At this time, I would say perhaps it is a little too early, but I think when the Commission was released back in August, there were some expectations that it would hit the ground running in September. And here we are starting the new year, and there's been limited progress made so far.
Yes, definitely. Before the new year, we heard a lot from families waiting to find out some answers about what's happening there. And then, of course, our former host, Michael Hutchinson, is now the Director of Communications there, and we have heard some from him. But I know you, as the President of the Native Women's Association of Canada, must have a little bit more insight than we've been able to gain so far. Tell us, what is your overall finding in your report card?
I think the lack of staffing that has been established so far has really slowed the progress of the Commission so far. We've had a chance to meet with Mr. Hutchinson on 2 occasions, and we've had 3 teleconferences with the Executive Director. However, we still are getting questions ourselves from families. In fact, I went to Vancouver in December to meet with some of the families who had concerns.
There's a lot of, the report card is color-coded. Green is a pass, yellow, action required, red is a fail, and gray is insufficient information. There's a lot of yellow in that report card, meaning action is required. What action at this point needs to be done?
Right. It would be great to start the new year with a clear, transparent communication plan from the Commission. Families want to know what to expect and when to expect that the Commission is going to be meeting with them. They want to know what the process is going to be. They want to know that they're going to be part of a strategy that's going to include not just families and friends of missing and murdered Indigenous women and girls, but of the full Canadian society.
I also noticed the green color code passed. There is no green in the report card, but there's also no red, which indicates failure. What does that mean?
So at this point, when we were looking at the areas that we could grade the Commission, there was a lot of incomplete information that we've received. And as you mentioned earlier, we've probably been at the most meetings with other national Indigenous organizations than any other organization in Canada. So the fact that Native Women's Association of Canada has limited information and we're unable to grade the Commission at this point really stands to support that we need a better communication strategy.
And how do you feel about the lack of response from the actual commissioners themselves so far?
I was hoping to see more. I was at the inaugural release of the Commission back in August. So I think myself, as well as the families, were hoping that we would start moving forward in September. And here we came into December and there was limited information. So in regards to the commissioners, I know that Commissioner Odette has been quite helpful, and Marion Buller has contacted us in December. However, we need to see more of this transparency being released, not only to the Native Women's Association and other NIOs, but to the families, because the families come first in this.
I notice you're wearing a Sisters in Spirit pin on your lapel. The previous government put a stop to that program. If it had kept going on to this point, where do you think we would be right now?
I would hope that had we continued working on the Sisters in Spirit program, we would have a lot more information that we could share with the families, that we would have actually processes that could be shared with Canadian society to stop this type of violence towards Indigenous women, towards all women in Canada.
All right, Francyne Joe, President Francyne Joe, thank you so much for your time today.
Thank you so much, Cheryl.